0 now. Back to 0-0. We with all the smoke and we ain't ducking no fades. We're going to enjoy this one tonight, take tomorrow off, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, that video is interesting. So obviously Darvin Ham is doing everything he can to get his team hyped up for the playoffs, get them hyped up for this Western Conference rematch. Saying you want all the smoke with a team that you've lost 8 straight to, who swept you in the finals, who pretty much made you look as bad as you've looked all season at home in pivotal games, like Kobe night and opening day of the NBA season, and then saying that you want all the smoke. I mean, I get it. I don't know. I feel like in this situation, you would want to be a little more locked in, have a little bit more humility, a little more serious of a tone, because I mean, let's be honest, like the Lakers have had a rough season and ended the season well, with in my opinion, a favorable schedule at the end of the season, very similar to how the Nuggets had. So his reaction is interesting. Obviously the media is playing into the comments earlier in the season, at the beginning of the season, with Anthony Davis saying that, the Nuggets were doing a little much with, hey, you won, the whole Laker daddy thing. Me and LeBron had some conversations, these things. So look, there's a lot of narratives. There's a lot of media coverage. Laker fans are a little quieter. My DMs are a little more silent than they were last season going into that series. Obviously, the Lakers coming off really big wins against Golden State. So, but, I mean, when we look at these two teams from last year to this year, what's different, right? I think that's the first thing that I look at, and the core pieces are still the same, right? It's why the results this year weren't very different than the ones last year. I was at the game in LA for Kobe night, and it seemed like a blowout. Lakers made it close late, and then the Nuggets pulled away. Pretty much very similar to how a lot of the games went in the finals, or in the Western Conference Finals. Really tight games, close games, and the Nuggets just pulled away late. Jokic had a couple big shots, Jamal Murray doing what Jamal Murray does, and LeBron running out of a little bit of steam. AD inconsistent, right? And the crazy thing is LeBron and AD both have really good series. Rui Hachimura had a good series in the Western Conference Finals. Austin Reeves played well in spurts. There's only really one player for the Lakers that didn't have a great series, and that's also who I think is going to be a part of the next topic I have here, and that's D'Angelo Russell. But for the Nuggets, I think the big difference is going to be the bench, right? Bruce Brown and Jeff Green came off the bench for Denver last year, and not exactly prolific scoring from Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, but what you got was a big body in Jeff Green who could stagger time with Aaron Gordon, or if Aaron Gordon got in foul trouble, or if they needed somebody in to defend for Michael Porter last year. That was very common. A trusty veteran, and Malone loves his trusty veterans. So I do think the loss of Jeff Green in this series matters, especially when it comes to guarding LeBron. If AG does get into any sort of foul trouble, if he finds himself on Anthony Davis for spurts of the game, Peyton Watson is a great wing defender. I think he's led the team in blocks with like 88 blocks this year, which is like the most for a non-center. But him being matched up on LeBron is a nightmare, right? From a size, strength standpoint, like he's gonna put that kid under the rim if that's how the Nuggets decide to defend LeBron for the entire game. So I think not having Jeff Green does present some issues in terms of the rotation and what you can throw at LeBron to make LeBron a little more tired. And then Bruce Brown, despite not being prolific offensively, I think he, the first 3 or 4 games was averaging like 14, 15 points a game, right? I mean, he was going after D'Angelo Russell offensively. And then defensively, you know what you're going to get. He's going to rotate, plays with a lot of energy. So that swagger, that experience, the veteran experience, the size of Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, I think did represent, allow this matchup to be a little more favorable for the Nuggets. Do I think that Peyton Watson and Christian Braun are capable of being really great defensively in this particular series? I do. I just think it's going to come as a team effort. I don't know that you're going to be able to just throw Peyton Watson on LeBron or Christian Braun. If they get matched up, there's going to have to be some sort of double, some sort of defensive scheme that Malone draws up that allows them to effectively keep LeBron in check throughout the series. Because despite LeBron's age, he's still capable of putting up 40 points and completely taking over a game. And I think he's the one person that's shown that he can be consistent through this series or against the Nuggets. Another factor in this series is going to be the Lakers' X factor, which was also maybe the primary reason why the Lakers struggled last year, and that's the play of D'Angelo Russell. He's been playing fantastic to end the year. He's a big reason why I think the Lakers did so well down the stretch. Also, inserting Rui Hachimura into the starting lineup, which makes sense. Don't know why that didn't happen in the first place, especially since he was a guy you relied on heavily in the playoffs last year. But D'Angelo Russell is going to be the Lakers' X factor. Defensively, we know he's a turnstile, right? I mean, you couldn't even defend Bruce Brown, who's had the least offensive package of any Nugget player last year, outside of DeAndre Jordan. So D'Lo's defense is going to be an issue, but I think if you can get a net positive from him offensively, where he's shooting the ball well, he's assisting, he's getting the ball into Anthony Davis, not turning the ball over, you live with the defensive side of that if you're the Lakers, as long as you're getting some sort of net positive or close to neutral from D'Angelo Russell. And I do think that he will have a better series overall. How much better? I don't know. He's still going to be dealing with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's still going to be dealing with Christian Braun. So, and I think Jamal Murray's defense is going to be super pivotal and important in this series as well, especially if they decide to deploy Gabe Vincent more in this series, right? So the X factor for the Lakers, I think, is going to be D'Lo. The X factor for the Nuggets is, in my opinion, going to Michael Porter Jr. Not so much the offensive side, the shooting, because I think we did get that from him last year again this series, but defensively, rebounding. The Lakers have size, right? Hachimura, LeBron, AD, Reeves, D'Lo, these are all pretty big players, right? And so it's not going to be up to Jokic and Aaron Gordon for rebounds. I think Michael Porter Jr.'s rebounding and defense, he doesn't have to be a stellar defender. He just needs to be a competent defender. He needs to be in the right spots. He needs to not sag off the three-point shooters. And he needs to follow the scheme that Malone has put in place for the defense. And I think at times throughout the year when he's involved in the offense, he's locked in defensively and rebounding. If the game's not going well for him offensively, sometimes we've seen Michael Porter Jr. stray and lose interest. Obviously, this is the playoffs. You hope that doesn't happen. But I think he's going to be the Nuggets' X factor as well. Because if he can shoot the ball well and then defend at an average clip and then rebound the ball like we know he can at 6'10", right? I think that bodes really well for the Nuggets. And we'll kind of see how those two X factors play out. So predictions. Look, it's very easy to be overly confident in this series. It's also very easy for me to be pessimistic as a fan, and I'm right in the middle, right? We've won 8 straight games, which all that tells me is that the Nuggets are very confident against this team, and the Lakers are maybe a little bit unsure, right? However, last year, even though it was a sweep, every game was close, right? I think Jokic had a buzzer beater in one of those games. So, I understand the Lakers, some of the Lakers, the more optimistic fans are like, oh, every game was close. Like, if it wasn't for a lucky shot, we would have won a game. Like, okay, I still think, like, the Nuggets would have won that series no matter what. And they did, right? They won 4-0. And then we proceeded to win the next 3 games, 2 of them being in LA. So, I still don't like the matchup for the Nuggets in the first round. I think the Pelicans would have been a better matchup just because of the experience, the size, Jokic. When your X factor has a huge advantage like Jokic would against New Orleans, it's always bodes well in a series, right? Not maybe one game, but in a series. But when I think the advantage is taken away a little bit, and there's a lot of familiarity between these teams, even Darvin Ham being a pretty average coach, I think he's seen enough of this team to where he should be able to put something together to have this offense struggle at times, or to try to take the ball out of Jokic's hand, or not allow everybody else to to participate and be a part of the offense and get going. So my prediction is 6 games. Okay. If it went 7, I also wouldn't be surprised. I would be very surprised by a sweep, and pleasantly surprised by a gentleman's sweep if we went 5 games. Just because I think the Lakers are fresher, LeBron is fresher, ADs, they're all healthy, they're playing really well. There's a sense of familiarity, so I think the games are going to continue to be close because there's not really any surprises either of these teams can throw at each other. And create a huge separation. I think if these teams are both locked in, we're going to see really, really close games, and maybe the Nuggets are not on the winning side or of a couple late runs or missed shots or bad rebounds or 50-50 balls. So my prediction is the Nuggets in 6. I wouldn't be surprised if it could go 7, right? That wouldn't be like, oh my God, how did this happen? 4, I don't see a sweep, right? The NBA is too hard. The playoffs are too hard. The Lakers are too talented, in my opinion, to be swept again. And despite the hubris of Nuggets media and Nuggets fans, and the fact that even like the media is on the Nuggets on this one, I do think this will be a much closer series in terms of record. But I still expect this team to handle business and put this series away in 6 games, 7 games, and if they really have a brain fart. But it's the NBA. You never know, right? Like, it's hard to repeat. There's a reason why it doesn't happen very often. I think it hasn't happened since the Warriors last did it. So, and I was with a crazy Warriors team. So, yeah, my prediction is going to be the Nuggets in 6. And I think that this series is a little different for Denver because the first round of last year was against Minnesota, small market team versus small market team, not a lot of media coverage. Whenever you play the Lakers or one of the big market teams, the game just has a little bit different feel. And so having that early on in the playoffs, I do wonder like what that's like. But every time I question this team's ability to lock in when it matters over the last couple years, even going back to like the bubble, year, down 3-1 to the Clippers in Utah, like when their backs are against the wall, the team, they don't really flinch. So I find it really difficult to see them losing in a 7-game series against any of these Western Conference teams. But I do definitely see some of these series going 6-7 games, and you just never know what can happen. So as far as the Lakers go, they legitimately have the right matchup. I do think it's going to come down to D'Angelo Russell, the health and energy of the Lakers. And then also, this is a big test for Darvin Ham. I think his coaching ability has been severely questioned the last couple years. And so there's a huge coaching advantage here for Denver as well, against Michael Malone, who's turned out to be, I understand I'm a Nuggets fan, but I think the league and people watching know that it's not just Nikola Jokic. Like, it's Michael Malone's ability to coach matchups, put guys in, and he's fostered a 57-win team despite losing 2 huge pieces in veterans and playing with a lot of young 1 and 2 year guys. So it should be a good series. I am not overly confident. I would love for the series to end early, especially in the first round, considering the teams that we're going to match up with later. But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. As far as the rest of the